And good afternoon. I'm Dan DeRose with 19 News, coming to you from our digital desk. This is a segment we do here at Cleveland 19 called From Someone Who Knows. We take one of our stories from the week that's been most impactful, most emotional, heartbreaking story, if you will, as what we have today. And we give you a deeper dive. You get to see entire interviews. When you see a story on Channel 19, it might be 2 minutes, 2.5 minutes, but here on our digital properties, we're able to show you full interviews of the people who know, the people who are impacted by this story. There was an extreme fire yesterday early in the morning, about 4:30 in the morning in East Cleveland. It was on the Brian Maurer Road, the 1600 block. 3 homes were impacted, 2 of them destroyed. And unfortunately, one man was killed. The man in the blue stocking cap you see there, that is Les Miller. The fire started in his home. And from what we are hearing from neighbors and from family, he was more than just your average neighborhood individual. He did his best to help the homeless in the area. He was, by self-described by family members, a little bit of a hoarder, which may have led to this situation and ultimately his death. So the first interview that you're going to hear is from a neighbor, Ashley McKenna. She lives across the street and had known Les for about 6 or 7 years. And you're going to start to hear the kind of individual that he was, not only from his neighbor, but you'll then hear from a nephew who describes what he was also known as the Collinwood Kid. Apparently, he did his best to help everyone in East Cleveland. He was trying to help that community, whether it was the homeless, whether it was older neighbors simply mowing their yard. This will have an impact on East Cleveland more than just losing 2 homes. This was a good community member. Take a listen to our first interview again with his neighbor, Ashley McKenna.
I was actually the one that called 911. Seeing the flames just put me in complete shock, and I just did what I had to, grabbed my kid, got out the house, was, pounding on doors and everything, trying to yell for my landlord across the street. No response. It was real scary. We just tried to wake up as many of the neighbors that we could to get them up and out of the houses, because we didn't know the fire was escalating really fast and quickly, so we just tried to get him out.
Knowing he's unaccounted for, but his car was there, what are your thoughts right now?
I'm praying it's a miracle, and maybe he went somewhere with somebody, but he just always had his vehicle. So with that being said, it's hard because we still can't find him. So it's hard. We're hopeful, but it's very hard and nerve-wracking, especially walking out of the front door, and this is now what I'm looking at.
How many years have you known him, and can you tell us a little bit about him?
I've known him about 6 years, 7 years. He was a good man. Joe was crazy. He was a pack rat, liked to collect things. Definitely. But at the end of the day, he was a good guy, big-hearted. He looked out for this city. He did a lot for this city, like, donating stuff to animal shelters, and he would go around our street and all the streets and, clean up all the garbage, mow the lawns to the yards that needed it. He tried to take care, like, he's part of this community. Unbelievable. Like, I can't believe what I'm looking at right now, to know how those houses looked, and when I walk out, this is what I'm expecting, and now seeing nothing. There's not even a foundation left to the first house, which was his house, and then the one next to it, that one's got, I think, a side. That's it. It's very devastating and heartbreaking, and especially until we find him, it's hard.
And the unfortunate news was that his body, Mr. Hiller's body, was found just before 5 o'clock. That interview was done earlier in the day, but you could already hear the emotion in that neighbor's voice talking about what he meant to that neighborhood and to that community. And as she said, they were hoping for a miracle, and unfortunately it just didn't happen. His body was recovered. We're going to take just a quick break before we play. We've got about a 7-minute interview with Les's nephew, Eli. Again, a very powerful message, and remembering his uncle and what he meant, and some questions about water and fire hydrants in East Cleveland, and the amount of time it took to get good water on that fire, and the fact that, according to his nephew, fire officials knew his uncle was a hoarder, and maybe should something have been done ahead of time to try and help him in that situation. We'll get to that in just 90 seconds. And welcome back to From Someone Who Knows, a segment here at Channel 19 where we take a deeper look than we can do on our evening newscasts. And yesterday, the East Cleveland community lost what's being described as a good man, a community man. The body of Les Hiller was found after hours and hours of putting out what was a major fire. It completely destroyed 2 homes on Bryan Marr Road in East Cleveland, and heavily damaged a 3rd home. This was a massive blaze, and once all was said and done, a cadaver dog did find the body of Les Hiller, who was known throughout East Cleveland as just someone who was trying to better his community, better his neighborhood, and that's why the loss is impacting so many, and why we're taking a deeper dive into this now. An interview with Eli Hiller, his nephew, who does raise some concerns about the city of East Cleveland and the services and what it took to put out that fire. So take a listen to Eli Hiller here on the loss of his own uncle.
He's my closest uncle who lives in Ohio, and he's visited me for a lot of my life, and I just got news that he passed this morning, and a lot of the firefighters and the city officials have been working diligently for the past, I would say, 6 to 7 hours, and they just found the remains of his body about 30 minutes ago.
How much of a loss is this for you and your family?
It's a tragic loss because our uncle was a storyteller of the family. He was an avid traveler, a hobbyist photographer, and he brought a lot of kooky energy and humor to our family, and I think he's going to be severely missed in whatever family reunions we have, and then through the next year.
How long did your uncle live in the home?
Les is a staple of Bryan Marr here in East Cleveland. He's known around the community, and he's known the mayors, he's known the city council. He's been supporting a lot of people on this block for a really long time. I would say upward of 35 years. Yeah.
What did they tell you about? What was your first thoughts when they said they could not find him because somebody said his car was still here?
You know, I think it's tricky in a situation like this where you have a missing individual, and many of us were thinking that maybe he had escaped or jumped off because he normally sleeps on the second porch of his home. We thought that maybe he escaped and got away from the fire, maybe injured himself and crawled away. But it was also the possibility that he could have tried to stay to put out the fire. Les has always had a really strong connection to his home and his belongings, and he could have ran in and tried to have saved something. And you never know in a situation like that. But yeah, a lot of people, after we knew that his vehicles were here, he had made a call to a friend the night before at 10 p.m. And he was helping a friend find like a nursing home. So, and that call was at 11, so we knew that he had been at the house.
I know you've been here for a handful of hours now watching these firefighters dig through the rubble. What's been going through your mind watching them do this work and ultimately finding the body of your uncle?
I think it's, you know, I do think a lot of the East Cleveland Fire Department and all the city officials have been out here tirelessly for the whole day since they've probably been here at 8 or 9 a.m., working through the rain, working through the fires and pulling out the debris. I mean, if you just look at the debris back there, they had to get an even larger excavator to move it all out, put it on the street to even find my uncle's remains.
And what are they telling you about where he was found? Is it in the area where some of the house collapsed?
So, from my understanding, when the home firefighters were in there trying to do a rescue, and they had to exit the building because the roof was collapsing, they found him in the front part of the building, from my understanding.
Okay. How old was he by chance?
My uncle, I think age ranges, I think he's 67 or 68, so
Okay.
late 60s.
Any children or anything? Yours only family here?
My uncle has no living children. He's surviving off of he has 3 siblings, my mother, Linda Hiller, my uncle, Greg Hiller, and then my other uncle, Dudley Hiller, and then I have 2 other cousins, Anita Hiller and Walter Hiller.
Okay.
Yes.
Do you have any frustration about the fire hydrant situation, that it took them several minutes to get those up and running?
I think my biggest concern with city certainly is, from my understanding, from what some of his tenants said who live across the street, they had 15 to 20 minutes where there was very little water that was going out to put out the fire. And I'm not in disagreement with that. I don't think that was probably going to save my uncle's life. But it is a concern that you have potentially, from a 2018 survey, 12% of fire hydrants in East Cleveland that either have very low water pressure or no water pressure.
Yeah.
And you look at East Cleveland, it's been very under-sourced for a very long time. I think there need to be changes on the city level to really make an impact if you're going to keep community members alive.
One last thing, what do you want the community to know about your uncle? What do you want them to take away from this?
You know, my uncle was a good Samaritan. He would dumpster dive food, collect food to give out to the homeless. He was always helping out a lot of friends. He was always advocating for things to change in East Cleveland. And I think it's terrible that we lost such a good person for the city, you know?
Yeah. I'm so sorry. I guess, does he have any other relatives that are here in town that...
He has no other living relatives. He has a family friend who was kind of like an informal son of his, and I think I'll let him speak if he wants to. But I guess I just want to say that the other concern I think one city can take into account is the unfortunate reality is that we always kind of expected my uncle to kind of go down with his house. Unfortunately, he was a very avid hoarder, and I do think there could have been, the fire chief knows him, right? There were other public officials that knew him and knew that it was very much a public health concern, and they never really went into the framework or legality and politics of trying to take his house away from him. And it sucks that I feel like if that had happened, maybe he would have been alive today.
Yeah, because all that stuff is in there and burns and.
And if you have all that weight that collapses a house, added that on with a fire, any form of flame could start a huge fire within minutes.
Well, and it makes it difficult also for firefighters to move around or try to rescue you.
And it's not an uncommon situation where you have hoarders who live in East Cleveland who will come and buy a lot of cheap homes and put as many things as they can in them. Although my uncle, even though he had this habit, he was an incredible person. I don't belittle him for the efforts he had, but he was an incredible man, and he'll be missed dearly.
You just want this to shine a light maybe it could save somebody else.
Yeah, we're in a situation where, if the public sphere changes, there needs to be more potential impact out there to save whatever next family happens again. Because I don't want this to happen to anybody.
Very tough situation there in East Cleveland, the loss of Les Hiller, and it was a massive fire. And if he was a hoarder, as his family describes, that is just fuel. That when a fire starts, that's why it not only took his home, completely destroyed a neighbor's home, and then damaged a third. These pictures given us to by his nephew. But as his nephew said, that shouldn't be his legacy. His legacy is that he was an incredible help to that community. And the people who live in that area. Listen to what his nephew said he was doing the night before. He was on the phone with a friend trying to find a nursing home for that individual at 11 o'clock the night before his death. So his legacy will live on. That's what this segment is about, is that we get to dig a little deeper, show you a little bit more than we get to on Cleveland 19. Now, there are several other episodes of From Someone Who Knows. You know how a QR code works by now. Open up the camera on your phone or scan that, or go to cleveland19.com and look for Someone Who Knows, and see some of our past episodes. Not all of them sad, some of them very educational, some of them a little humorous from time to time. So take a look at some of our past episodes. We start 3.5 hours of news and first alert weather at 3 o'clock on Channel 19, so we'll see you there. I'm Dan DeRose for 19 News, and this has been From Someone Who Knows.